Hello everyone, today I'm going to build a Payload Escort Toybox in Disney Infinity 3.0.
Sometimes I even scare myself.
Alright, to start, I think I'm going to place a path. There we go. For now, it's not going to be very big or anything. Oops. Whoops, I want to start here, a little higher. And I will adjust the length of it as I build the map. I'm also going to use the trigger area. You're going to have to capture the point and then escort a payload. So it'll be that big for now. I don't know. And I'm going to have this button here so I can reset and stop the objects on the path for testing purposes while I'm building it. Alright, and I'm going to need a bunch of logic gates. And I think I'm going to make it like 5 players on each team. So I'll need a counter as well. Counter. I don't have a counter on here. Figured that'd be my favorites. Guess it's not. Hello everyone. There's a counter. So I want there'll be 2 teams, right? There'll be an orange team and a blue team. There's a blue team, right? Okay. I'll use hair right here. And General Grievous. Oops. This will be the orange team. Oops. Yes, stand still first. Or sleep. Just as long as you're not moving. Orange team. And General Grievous can be on the blue team. He can sleep too. Now, I want when it's entered by the orange team, send an input to this logic gate here. And if the logic gate is open, it will send an input to increment this counter by 1. Because I want to keep track of how many of the orange team is in this trigger area. And since I'm going to have teams of 5, I want the target count to be 5. Not visible. And it does not restart. Okay. So when it reaches 5, I want it to close this logic gate so it won't continuously increment if for some reason a player's defeated and then comes back into the trigger area. I don't want it to keep counting. Alright? And when it's exited by a orange team member, they say exited, right? Whoops. I'll try again. When exited by orange team, I want to send an input to this logic gate here. Alright. And I'll put this logic gate here so I don't get confused. When this logic gate outputs, that's when an orange team member leaves, I want this to decrement by 1. And when this decrements all the way to 0, I want it to close this logic gate so it doesn't keep going below 0. And also when it reaches 0, or no, when it decrements, well, I can't do that, can I? That's silly. Alright, but I do want to make this so it opens again. And the way I want that to open again is when this one would output, right? So when this one decrements, so an output will happen when it decrements to ensure this logic gate is open in case it reaches 5 and it closes, and then someone exits, it'll drop down to 4, and I want that to be open again for someone to go back in there. So then I'll have that open. Just like when this one increments, I want this one to open as well, so it can decrement when a player leaves. So this one here to the left when they leave, this one to the right when they enter. Alright, and I'm going to have another logic gate too, or a couple actually. Hold one sec. Got a message here. Alright, so when 0 is reached, I want this logic gate here to be closed. On the another one too. So when 0 reached, this logic gate, oh sorry, yeah, this logic gate will close. Zero reached, this logic gate closes. And I want the same thing to happen too when someone leaves, or when someone enters. I want that to open again. So when this outputs, this one will open again. And here we go. I'm gonna have a counter for how long you have to be on the trigger area before you will capture the point and then be able to escort the payload. And for the timer, I'll use a repeater. Where's a repeater? A repeater. And the repeater will go every 1 second. And when it repeats, I want it to send an input to this logic gate. Alright. And I want that to start when this is entered by a blue team member. Because that will be the team that's capturing the payload. This, and it will be on. So if there are no orange team members on there, this logic gate will have an input block signal sent to this logic gate. Great, right? And I'll build some logic over here too then, so I don't get confused of which ones are doing what. I'm gonna need these 2 logic gates, right? And these 2. I'll do the same thing, only for the blue team now. And a counter. Why do I have 2 counters over here? I don't need this one. Okay. Now in the blue team, oh, I don't need, yeah, I don't need this. When the blue team enters this trigger area, I want to send an input to this logic gate. And when this logic gate outputs, I'm going to increment this counter by 1. Because that means one of those players are in there. I also don't want it visible, and I want the target count to be 5 since there are going to be 5 players on the blue team as well. Once the target is reached, though, I want to close this logic gate here. Because I don't want it to keep counting. It reached 5, that's max, right? And when this one outputs, I want to make sure this one's open so it can decrement. Now, when exited by the blue team, this will receive an input, and when it outputs, this will decrement by 1 because a player left. And when it reaches 0, I want to close this. And when it decrements with an output here, I want this one to open. Alright. And this one here, that's going to be interesting to figure out. There needs to be blue players on this, right? So when this increments, I want to make sure that logic gate over there is closed, right? So when this outputs, this logic gate I want to be closed, because that means there's players on it. This is also going to start when they get on there too, right? So if there's orange players on there, after a blue player's gotten on there, this repeater will go get started. Also want to counter here too. This is going to start at 5. Sorry. It will start at 5. And I want it to count down to 0, right? And I want it to be visible. And every time this repeats, I want this to decrease by 1. Because it's going to take you 5 seconds of the blue team being on the point without the orange team until you're able to capture and move that payload. So I want it to, when 0 is reached, oh, whoops, I don't have anything on that on that path yet to get started, so I'll do that in a minute here. Sorry everyone, something's going on with my stream, huh? All right. So where was I? I gotta get something on that path. I'm gonna put a locator on there, because I'm gonna use that to let you know when you're near the payload, right? It's gonna move, right? And I want this to hit it so it'll reset and stop. Good. It is reset and it's stopped. Okay. Oh, where was I? Yeah. When 0 reaches here, I want the objects on the path to start. But oh no, not when that happens, sorry. not the repeater. The repeater here gonna send an input, right? So when gets closed, yeah, that's it. It will input blocked. That's what I want to decrement by 1. Okay. And when this one opens, or even better, when these cats are on there, the input will also be blocked, right? So when the baddies, the other team is on there, the defending team, I want this to reset. I want to start at 5, right? Start target count is 5, right? There we go. Start at 5. I want it to decrease, and then it'll reset to 5 if this goes off in there. Cool. All right. This will close that. And it starts. Once this reaches it, I don't really care about that trigger area anymore after this reaches 0, right? So I'm going to, when reach 0, turn this off. I don't want it anymore. Deactivate it. Also, when this reaches 0, I'll turn this off. There. Perfect. Then these logic gates won't do anything anymore. Neither, well, these ones will. Neither will those. And then I want to activate something else. The dynamic trigger area. This one, when the level started, I don't want that one to be active. I want that one to be turned off. Turn it off, right? Because I already have a trigger area for the area. Then once you capture it and it's moving, then I want the dynamic trigger area to be on the payload, right? So I did have that off, right? Catalyzed off. So when this reaches 0, payload starts moving. No, not count changed. Reaches 0. What am I doing? Reaches 0. Now I want this one to turn on. Okay. And I can still use these same logic gates and counter. Now I'll just use it with the dynamic trigger area. Alright, so when the blue team enters the trigger area, I'm going to set this so it's on the locator. I usually forget to do that. I'll go distance of 8. It's 2 blocks, right? Alright, so when it's entered by the blue team, I want to send an input to this logic gate here. And this is the one that increments, right? With the counter. Let's see. When it outputs, counter increments by 1. Yes. Okay. Shouldn't that counter also? Yes. Alright. And when it's exited by the blue team, then I want to decrement the counter, right? Just like with the other trigger area. Exited by blue team. Send an input here. Alright. Now, that's really all I need over here. Oh yeah. I will still need these. Right? Yes, I will need those. Let's close it. I need something to open this too, right? Increments, logic gate, output. Oh yeah. When 0 reached, I want that one to close. Because that means there's no blue team on the payload, and I don't want it to be moving if there's no one on the payload. So when the 0 reaches, this one's going to open up. And when someone's on it, it will close. And I don't want this actually to be turned off by that counter. Sorry. This one can keep going. Output. But this counter... No, I'm not going to be able to use the same stuff. So yes, I do want that too. Reach 0. This one, shut it off, right? Alright. So since that repeater's off, I'm going to need a similar set of logic over here for moving the payload. Same thing will happen. This logic gate, when it outputs, this one will close. When this one input blocked, this logic gate will receive an input. And when this one, the input is blocked, I want to start the objects on the path because now we're moving the payload, right? Alright. Start. Oh, but you gotta make something stop too, right? How do I make that stop when... Is this the one that increments? Yes. So when this one outputs, so that means that there's a orange team member on the payload, or it will when I set up that logic. This one is gonna stop. Okay. And then this one is an input. But how do we do that again? Alright, when this outputs, yeah, so that means someone's on the payload. This one will close when there's no orange team on the payload. 0 reached, right? Is that how it does it with the other one, I believe? 0 reached. This is closing. And I'll need another repeater. So when a blue team gets on the payload, that means this will output. It'll start the repeater. Repeater's on. And the repeater will be a 1 second repeat. And when it repeats, it sends an input to this logic gate. Oh, and it says, hey, there's no orange team on the payload. It checks, is there a blue team on the payload? Alright, there is blue team on the payload. So, yeah, I have this starting the payload, right? Yeah, so then it will start the payload moving. This will close if there's no blue team on the payload. So when this reaches 0, 0 reached. Alright, now this logic gate is going to open back up because we do not want it to move if there's nobody on the payload. Alright, now we also need this for the orange team. So when it's entered by the orange team, I'm going to increment the counter by 1 with the logic gate. That'll close it, right? Okay. And if there is, it's exited by the orange team, I want it to decrement, and I'm going through this logic gate to do it, right? So it'll shut. And this one reaches 0, okay. But I need that open back up again if there is a orange player on the payload. It's going to open up this logic gate again. That means it will not see if there's blue people on there, and then it will not go as long as there's orange people on the payload. Alright. What else do I gotta do? Now I'm gonna check this out too, because I don't know if a player is defeated, if that will decrease this, because I don't think it counts as an exit of the trigger area if they're defeated. I'm going to test that out right now. Actually, no. What I'll do is I'll just have it decrement if a player, when a player is defeated, right? I'll have a decrement. The problem comes though is if they're not on the payload and they're defeated, that could mess up the count a little bit, but the count will correct itself because I have it so it'll stop at 0 and not go any lower than 0, and I also have it so it won't go any higher by turning or opening and closing these logic gates, right? So if anything, it won't move when it should one time, or it will not move when it should, or it'll move when it shouldn't, right? So that's okay. It's going to be a little clumsy, and I'm over it. But it'll play pretty well. I know it because I do everything great. At least I keep telling myself that. Okay. I guess that means I can test to see if it's going to move, right? Well, I got my orange team here. Now, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to save, and then I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and when I come back, I'm going to test it. what should I call this? Payload something? Payload. I'm gonna share it to the cloud while I still can. For like a day or two. And cool. That's good enough. It's a Toybox in progress here, people. Not gonna be too picky right now. Alright. When this finishes saving, then I'm going to take a break. Alright, I'm going to take a 2-minute break, and then I will be back and I will finish building this payload moving toy box thing that I'm working on. Be back in about a minute.
Hang out here, go to class. Yeah, like that's gonna happen.
Alright, I am back and I'm going to test to see if the payload on the path here is going to work. I don't have anything other than a locator connected to the path right now, but it'll work for, and a trigger area too I have here. So here's the defending team, the orange team. Now as long as they're there, and this blue guy here comes onto the point, that counter won't start to decrease, right? Pretty sure, if I did it right, it's not going to decrease. One sec. But when the orange team exits this area, now look at, should be decreasing 1 per second, right? Okay. Right. And that goes here. Oh yeah. it's supposed to be for 5 players. So this has got to reach 0. But for now, well, I only want it to... Oh, it did reach 0. Yeah, it reached 0 because only one person went on there. So that's not why it didn't work. Is this repeating? This is supposed to be repeating. At a rate of 1. Oh! This count wasn't visible, was it? Because I see that payload moving. Oh, the target count is not 6. Oh, it has to be 6, doesn't it? And it counts down anyway. So when it reaches 0, reach is supposed to have this move, which it is. Oh, I know. This wasn't supposed to be turned on either yet. So I'm going to use this button here. When it presses, I want this to be turned off. Now I'm going to try this again. Blue guy, get out there. Here we go. Good. Now, you entered. Good. Now, blue team enters. This should be getting started. Oh, I gotta turn it back on now. Well, it'll get turned on. And it should be repeating. But it's not doing that. In the trigger area, when the blue team enters it, it turns on. This logic gate, when it repeats, gets an input. When this reaches 0, closes this logic gate, right? And when the input's blocked, this one receives an input. Good. And this one, what closes it? When that outputs, it closes this logic gate. And then, oh, when 0 reached. From that, yeah. Alright. And this one, when input blocks, decrement by 1. Alright. I don't know why that's not working. But when this cat gets out, huh. There we go. I don't want that repeater turned on yet. Okay. See, these things wouldn't be really a problem if I would have started it from a fresh toy box, right? Like, or if I would have, like, yeah, just uploaded the toy box. because I have that level starter that's supposed to turn the things off that I don't want on. So now it shouldn't be a problem. Orange team's on there. Blue team's coming. Alright, now there's no orange team on there. Why isn't that starting it? Okay. I'm gonna use this then. So when the blue team gets on there, this repeater will start. Okay. Good. Blue team leaves. I'll reset the logic here. Alright, orange team. There's one person on the point. The blue team's coming. Now they're getting on there. That repeater should start. But it's not. Huh. I'm going to use the button to see why this isn't starting. Will it turn on? Okay. Started. There it is. This should be starting when the blue team gets on that point, though. Right? So it's entered by the blue team. This receives an input. I also have this. No, I don't. Right? Yeah. And when it outputs, this repeater turns on. Okay. Good. Now the orange team is on the point, defending it. Now the blue team goes on here. That's not going to start that timer, right? That counter. But the orange team is not on the point. It will, but I'm stupid and I forgot to reset that counter. Alright. Here we go. When it's pressed, this one's going to reset. Try again. Blue team coming. Yep. Those logic gates are... One's closed, one's open. Now... Huh. I really went and messed something up. This should be visible on display. That's 6. Restart count 5. Oh man. One second, I gotta think about what I'm doing. So this count should be reaching 0. It starts at 0. It increments when the orange gets on there. Should I just have all these visible so I can see what I'm doing at first? Okay, I'll do that. Because I believe that's where the problem's coming from. Oh no. I know what I did. I turned this off. I turned off the trigger area. So this will work fine. I just didn't turn that back on. Alright. Activated. Good. Now, let's get going. I'm ready for this. Orange team. Defend the point. Alright, see? One orange team person on there. That's working. Blue team's on there. Good. Orange team is no longer on there. It's going 5. Should be counting down every time this second goes off, but it's not. Why doesn't it show a decrement? I'll just do an increment then. Whatever. Properties. This will be 0. This will be 5. 5 seconds when it gets to 5. No, it wasn't invalid. It was a 5. Target count. Oh no. Yeah, I get it. Because it was at 5 before. Good. This no longer has to be visible because I know what I'm doing. But you see that payload's moving. I don't necessarily want it to be moving right now, but it's moving. Not visible display. Cool. And what does this repeater do? Reaches 0, shuts it off. No, I want this to reach 5. No. Alright. Now when this reaches the target, I want this to stop. Off. Okay. And now when this reaches the target, I want this to turn off. Deactivate. And the logic gate, when the input's blocked, I want it to increment now, because that works a little bit better visually. Cool. All right. 0. What else does this one do? Turns this one on when it reaches 0, but I don't want that to do that anymore. Now when this one reaches the target reached, then it's going to turn on. Okay. This is good. Let's try again. Whoops. Get out of here. Here we go. Orange team. Defend your point. Blue team's on there. Let's get off of here. And that went right away. Why does it do that? Don't I want... Okay. And this button pushes here. I'll shut this off, man. No, I already have that shutting it off. I have that shutting it off. Why is it going? It's not supposed to be doing that. Come here. You're on there. Now when this goes, the repeater starts, right? No! Not even close. Is it resetting this counter? Yes, it's resetting this counter. What's starting this? Oh, I see. Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save it, come back to the toy box, and then all the logic will be reset so I can test it again. But yeah, I'll be okay. That keeps moving. Because this one's sending the output. This one's output. Oh, okay, I need another logic gate. That's where my problem is. Because it's starting that repeater before I'm ready for it to. I don't want it to start that repeater yet. I want it to start this repeater only after the point has been captured, right? Alright, hold on one sec. So when this outputs, this receives an input, and I only want it when it's input blocked, right? When the input's blocked, then it can start. Turn it on. But I don't want this to happen until after this reaches the target. Then this will close. And that'll be great. Well, shoot. That was silly. No, I can actually keep that. I can keep it so that when this outputs, the repeater will start, right? Repeater turns on. But the problem is the repeater is going straight to here. I don't want that to happen. Not until later, right? Don't want that logic connection. I want a logic gate here to receive the input from the repeater. But only when this is closed, I want it to send an input to this logic gate, right? And that won't happen until this count as the target reached. Then this will close. Alright. That's better. Right. Defend your point, dude. Now you enter. Now those repeaters will be going, right? This one's supposed to be going too. But it's not. Right? When he exits. Huh. Yeah, that's silly and not working right. Do I have too many inputs telling this guy here to repeat or what? Not the trigger area. Okay. Turn it off. Okay. That'll be fine. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save it, and I'm gonna go back into it, so all that logic's going to reset to the default. Because I'm dumb and wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. No, I'm not dumb. I'm a genius. And good looking. But yeah. Now we'll load that toy box. Right? Yeah, this one. I'll load the toy box and then I'll try testing it again.
You missed me, didn't you?
Great. Now... Oh. I want that to restart and stop when the level catalyzes here, right? Reset and stop. Alright. So I'll hit this, so I'll reset and stop. Defending. Attacking. It's doing what's supposed to, right? Nothing's moving. Exits. 1, 2, 3. Should be showing me. It's not showing me that count change. This count's supposed to be changing. Right? What's the trigger area having to do, though? Oh, yeah. Trigger area, I don't want the 0 reached. I want the target reached. That's the problem. My bad. Now the defending team is on there. That will increment by 1. Attacking team. Defending team. Why is that counter not incrementing? Should I slow down the repeater or like... One. Oh, I thought I saw something. Nope. Zeroing. Alright. Oh no, I do not want it when 0 reached. When target reached. Then I want this to go. Start. And, well, when an orange team gets on the payload, I want this payload to stop moving. Right? Or do I already have that going? Yes? Maybe? Yeah, I already do that. That's weird. To the counter, when the input is blocked, increment by 1. Target count 5. Starts at 0. Okay. Oh. No, that's what I did wrong. This. When the input blocked, this is resetting. I don't want that. What is that? No. I want... when this outputs, I want it to reset. Not input blocked. That's much better. Now, when it outputs, that's better. Okay. I will start again. From the beginning of my test. Now we have a defender is on the point. That one over there will increment by 1. Attacker is on there. Increment by 1 for the other side. Exits, decrement, opens or closes that logic gate. Now every couple seconds, this counter will increment until it gets to 5. When it reaches 5, the payload starts going. Oh no, but what happens if a defender gets in range of the payload? Yes, it stopped. Well, now we need the attacker on there too. Okay, the attacker is in range of the payload. The defense is no longer, it starts again. Alright. Good. It's not supposed to be moving though if the blue is not within range of... Now why is this going? I have something to shut that off, but that's okay for now. Yeah, alright, it's moving. I might have this. It's not visible. Right. That counter's done, it reached its goal. Now it's going. Oh. These are still opening and shutting. That's silly. Okay. Well, in that case, I need another logic gate. One more logic gate. Probably about 10 more, 20 more, I don't know. But for now, I just need one. When this one input blocked, send an input to this logic gate. Now when this logic gate outputs, that's going to be what increments the counter by 1. Not this one. So now, oops, that's not going to happen. Cool. And when this one reaches 5, right? That's its limit. When target is reached, this one closes. And we don't have to worry about that anymore. Alright, it's reset. It's at 0. I'm going to come get my orange team. Orange team is on the point. And blue team's on the point. No more orange team. Yeah, it's going because I didn't shut off something. But it will work once the logic is reset to the default. That's all I'm worried about. I'm also going to have a problem with well, that should be okay. Yeah, that's good too. Alright, I'm going to save it. Now that I figured out what I did wrong. There we go, it stopped. Let's reset. Cool. He's on there, but this person hasn't exited yet. That's the problem. Now it'll count down, right? Supposed to? I don't know. But I have it working at least for what I need it to. So I'll save it. And then I'll reload the toy box and test it again. Now when I reload it and test it again, the counters will be reset and the logic gates will be set to their open positions, the default, right? And then the logic will work for capturing and moving this payload. So I'm going to load this toy box. In the meantime, while it's loading, I'm going to get a beverage. And then I'm going to test it. And I'll continue with the gameplay.
Whoa, time to go again? All right.
Okay. Let's test this out now. The orange team, they're going to be on the point, defending, right? Everything's good. The blue team, they're going to try to capture. Now it's not going to go, this locator, which is representing the payload, is not going to be moving until there's no longer orange team members on the point. That counter is going to increment all the way until it gets to 5. It's kind of janky looking. And now it's going. It should stop though, because this cat is no longer within range of the payload. Now, I'm going to try to figure out why that's not happening now. This repeats, sends an input to here. This will stop the payload if there's a bad guy or a red team orange team defending it. But I don't think I have it so that when this logic gate is open, because there is not a blue team member on it, I don't have it so it's going to stop this locator from moving. Now it will. Alright, so it stopped. Let's try this again. We want to get this payload moving, right? Let's get the blue team on the payload. Well, what happens if they go away? It stops. Cool. On the payload, I have it looping, so it's going to stop back there. But if it's being defended by the orange team is there, right? I can't do that with the blue team now. It's not moving the payload until the orange team's out of the way. Perfect. The path is doing exactly what I want it to do. I only have 12 logic gates, I think, so that's not bad. But I'm going to need more, because I also need to... What do I need to do? Alright, I'm going to reset this. I need to have the bad guys, and the teammates, right? So I want there to be 2 spawn areas for each. So I'm going to need logic gates for each team members. It's teams of 5 I'm going to do. 3. Only 4 for the blue team, right? Because your player is going to be on the blue team. And for the red team, or orange team, there's going to be 5 of them. And the reason I'm using logic gates is because I want them to spawn at a different location, depending on if you've captured the point or not. If you captured the point, then you will spawn at a different location than before you've captured the point, right? We use the enemy generators. I only have 4 logic gates, I want 5. And I also want 4 enemy generators for the blue team. But since I'm doing 2 places, it's going to be 2 per each opponent or teammate, right? 4, 5, right? 5? No, 4, 5. Bad counting, come on now. Okay, that'll be 5 here, 4 on this team. And the thing I also want is these ones. Okay, hold on. I'm not sure if I want to get into this today. I'm getting kind of tired. And there's a lot to do left, so... Yeah, I'll set this part of having the teams later. Also, to get the enemies to go where I want them to, I'll be using, what is that toy in here? It makes the enemies go to it, I believe. It calls them, right? Cool. Yeah. So I'm going to use a bunch of these to make sure they stay or get to the point that you're trying to defend. I'm going to test something really quick. I want to know what things you can do with the logic here. You can summon the enemies. Okay. I'm just wondering if I use multiple of these, if it'll work well. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I'm going to save this, and I'm going to be done. For today, at least. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.